Welcome to the flipped instructional session for Math 08A for Unit 210, Variables on Both Sides of the Equation. Our objective today is to solve linear equations with variables on both sides, solve a linear equation by using the distributive property or combining like terms, and to solve linear equations with rational number coefficients. We've talked a lot about these throughout the semester. Remember the distributive property from Unit 1. We've also talked about inverse operations. And we've talked about like terms. So remember, the distributive property shows us how to get rid of parentheses. This means 3 times x, 3 times 4. Inverse operations, addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. And then like terms are things like terms that have the same variables. And like terms are even things just like numbers. So each of these is a set of like terms. So let's take a look and revisit our order of operations. So this looks like our very first step is always parentheses. So we have 5 minus 1. So that's 4 squared plus 3 squared. Divided by, we have parentheses on the bottom, 30 divided by 6, which is 5. These brackets are another set of parentheses, so we still need to work on top. Inside the parentheses, we have 4 squared plus 3 squared. So before we can add those, we need to take care of these powers. 16 plus 9. 16 plus 9 is 25. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. Let's talk about which operation solves the equation. So let's look. This time we have something different. 6f and 7f. We have variables on either side of the equation. So before, we were moving the number away from the variable. So now, it doesn't make sense for us to move the 15. If we move the 15, we just get 6f equals 7f minus 15. So we want to get the variable terms together, just like before we got the number terms together. So we see we've got two variables that are on opposite sides of the equation. We want to get those on the same side using inverse operations. So I'm going to move the 6f by subtracting 6f from both sides. 15 plus 6x minus 6f, since we use the inverse operations, these should cancel. So we have 15 equals 7f minus 6f is 1f, but the way we write that in math is just f. So it's important to remember we can just use the same inverse operations even with these variable terms if they're on either side of the equation. So before we got numbers on one side, well here the number was already on a side by no other numbers. So we had to move the variables this time. So let's take a look at this crazy one. So she says, Ava decided to solve the equation by first eliminating the fraction. So let's just write this out so we can see it a bit better. So here, we cannot move this 4 because it's being divided. We really can't move anything because we have this big fraction bar. So we need to get rid of that. So to get rid of dividing by 5, we can multiply both sides by 5. So these cancel because the opposite of division is multiplication. So this is how you can get rid of that fraction on the left. On the right, negative b plus 4 times 5. This is a distributive property situation. 5 times negative b is negative 5b. 5 times 4 is 20. So I have 3b minus 4 equals negative 5b plus 20. So there's nothing to we can't simplify the left side anymore. We can't simplify the right side because there are no like terms. So we get, the first step is always remove parentheses, which we really didn't have, but we can say remove parentheses or fraction bar. This one had a big fraction bar. 2 is combine same side like terms, which we don't have any. 3, numbers on one side, variables on one side using inverse operations. So I can move this 4 over to my 20. How do I do that? The opposite of minus 4 is plus 4. 3b equals negative 5b plus 24. This is very similar to what we've been doing. So our next step normally would have just been to divide this 3, but we still have this 5b over here. I'm going to give us some space here. I'm going to write this at the top. Right now we have 3b equals negative 5b plus 24. So we've just moved the positive 4, but now we need to move this 5b because it has a variable term over here. So we want to get everything that's alike together. So now we're going to add 5b to both sides. So we have 8b equals 24. So 8b, that means 8 times b. We still want to get b by itself, so we divide both sides by 8. b equals 3. There's a lot in that one to unpack. Getting rid of this divided by 5 was kind of an extra step in there. So let's look at these. These are crazy. Which equation has the solution x equals 3? So we can plug in a 3 wherever we see an x, which is going to take us a while. So what I want to do is we're just actually going to practice solving these. So let's look at this first one. Negative 4x plus 6 minus 3x equals 12 minus 2x minus 3x. First step is to look for parentheses. Cannot do that. There's no parentheses. Second step is to simplify the sides. We can simplify the sides because we have like terms. Negative 4x minus 3x. So keep the signs in front. Negative 4x, negative 3x is negative 7x. Over here, we have negative 2x and negative 3x, so that's negative 5x. So check for parentheses, simplify the left and right sides. Now we can move things side to side using inverse operations. We want to get the numbers together and the variables together. Let's work on the numbers. Minus 6 minus 6. 6 is over here, cancel. 12 minus 6 is 6. So I've gotten the numbers together. Now I want to get the variables together. Negative 2x equals 6. Now the variables are together, the numbers are together. We can finalize, divide by negative 2, because that means negative 2 times x. X equals negative 3. Let's take a look at the next one. We're just going to work through all of these. None of them have parentheses, so we don't need to worry about that first step. So our first step is always simplify the left, simplify the right. This time we have positive 4x, positive 3x, so that's 7x. Here we have positive 2x, positive 3x, so that's positive 5x. So this looks pretty similar. but we have different signs. So we're going to, now that we've simplified the left and the right, we can start moving things around. We're going to get the numbers together. Notice I write it right underneath the number so I can see what's happening and I can see what's left over. Now I move the variable around. Now I can get the variable by itself. So that one was pretty similar to the one we just did, just different signs. So we went through that one pretty fast. Let's take a look at the next one. So you can see even when they look very similar, the steps are the same, the number solution is just different. So we're on C. No parentheses to get rid of. Simplify the left and the right by combining like terms. The like terms over here are 4x and minus 3x, which is x. Over here, negative 2x, negative 3x is negative 5x. So we've combined like terms. We can start moving things around, get the numbers together. Write it right underneath where you're trying to be. If you write it out here, you might get mixed up. Just write it right underneath where you want it to be. The numbers are together, so we can get the variables together. Inverse operations every time. To get this, we undo it by dividing. So x equals 1. We have one more to look at. He's getting tired of erasing. It means the problems are big. Okay, in the next one, we have something much different on the right side than we have. So let's be careful. 4x plus 6 minus 3x. Although it's different, the steps are exactly the same. We combine like terms. Well, look for parentheses, no parentheses. Combine like terms, 4x and minus 3x. This time we have 12x, 2x, and 3x. So all of these go together. That's 17x. So this time I don't need to move the 6 because there's no number on the right. So I want to get the variable terms together because the number terms are already together because there's only one number term. So this time I'm going to subtract x because I want to get the numbers are already on the left, so I want the variables on the right this time. No big deal. X minus x cancels. 17x minus x is 16x. Divide both sides by 16. Simplify. 2 goes into both, so 3/8. Please check your Class Connect schedule for the Flip follow-up session or Help Lab if you have questions over this material. Thanks so much.